Okay, yeah, this is what they call Poston Butte over here, and Poston was a famous Arizonan. I don't remember exactly what he did or who he was. I wish I knew more, but they named it after a famous Arizona person. The railroad track you see on the right over there is the Union Pacific Railroad track. And it's active. That is an active railroad. And we're going along the southern boundary now of the Superstition Vistas land development project. So we're heading back to the campus essentially, but we're going to come back into the campus the back way. On the left over here, you see a copper project. It's very controversial. The idea is it's the Curis Copper Company. The idea is they want to do in situ copper mining by injecting sulfuric acid solution into an underlying copper ore body, dissolve the copper out of it, and then pump the acid, now bearing copper, to the surface and haul it off to a electrowinning facility where they will use an electrical current to extract the copper ore, having the copper deposited on a anode. I believe it would be deposited on the anode side of the tank. At any rate, that's very controversial because you're injecting sulfuric acid underground that can damage the groundwater. And there's a lot of land development around here which is proposed that we've been talking about this whole day. And what if the groundwater becomes contaminated because of the copper ore, which also has arsenic and other unhealthy heavy metals associated with it, contaminating the groundwater. So that's going through a review and approval process right now. ADEQ, Arizona Department of Environmental Quality, has actually given them their aquifer protection permit. They've been given the green light by ADEQ. So what they're now struggling with, or the Curis Copper Company is struggling with, is the approvals that they need from the city of Florence. And the city of Florence has been fighting them. It looks like if the copper company can make enough economic sense out of it, they will still be able to go ahead with this in situ copper mining on the property that they own, which is, or rather, they own it outright. But the land that they want to lease from the state land department to do it is subject to the public comment process that the town of Florence is objecting to. So the state land department has been unwilling to sign a lease with the copper company because of that political controversy here. Anyway, it just goes to show you that we've got copper as a natural resource in this area too. And we just crossed a natural gas pipeline. I just saw the markings for crossing a natural gas pipeline. So you got natural gas as a infrastructure need here for developing a whole new community. To the south of us, you can see in the distance some agricultural lands. The area around Florence, Arizona has some really nice agriculture. Actually, they've got vineyards. They grow grapes there, they grow cotton, they grow all kinds of fruits and vegetables. It's fertile soil, and it's mostly because of the Gila River, which flows just to the south of us here. The Gila River has deposited alluvial sediments over the years, which have formed a nice agricultural soil. It has a loamy texture to it, and it's very tillable and arable land. That's not part of the Superstition Vistas land development project, but just pointing out some of the interfaces between what you would find in newly developed land area, urban and agriculture interface. There's potential here as well. So we're turning towards the northwest now, heading back towards the campus. Hunt Highway has a pretty much a northwest vector to get us back to the campus here, hopefully by around 4:30. I think it's not going to be right at 4:30, but it'll be not too far after 4:30 when we get there. I think we're just going to keep on going. Yes, you have a comment?
Yeah. Why Arizona hasn't been already?
The question was, why has Arizona not already been developed?
Yeah.
I would say a lot of it is all about, it's all about economics, really, more than anything else. How much are the developers willing to spend to go to the trouble and the expense of developing new land. Like this is a subdivision here called Anthem by Del Webb that we're driving into, which is pretty new for this area. There's also another Del Webb Anthem up north of Phoenix, but they had to do an economic analysis to figure out when are people actually going to buy these houses from us? Are we going to be able to sell enough houses to make it worth our while? And if you've got a lot of constraints, like we were identifying before as we were driving across the Superstition Vistas, then that can cause a delay in the development decision being made until those constraints go away. Here they have access to water. The whole water issue is something that's unresolved with Superstition Vistas. We should probably talk more about that. And in Arizona, an area which is designated as an active management area. This area is called an active management area. The land developers have to come up with a 100-year assured water supply. They have to get a certificate from the State Land Department and the Real Estate Department that shows that they have demonstrated a 100-year assured supply of water for people living there. So that is there's quite a few criteria that they have to meet. It's an extensive test. They have to be able to show that it's an assured supply, that it will be continuously available, that the water that's available is potable water or can be treated to become potable to meet water quality, Safe Drinking Water Act standards, and that it's legally available. In other words, there's groundwater rights or there's surface water rights by the people who are developing the land. So they've got to go through all of that, and there haven't been any studies that I'm aware of to provide enough data or documentation that the Superstition Vistas area has a 100-year assured water supply. So they haven't gone through that process yet. And when and if that land becomes available for development after the State Land Department decides to sell it, then the developers will have to come up with the documentation for that. Is there enough groundwater? Probably not. Do we have enough surface water? Maybe. The Central Arizona Project Canal, which delivers Colorado River water all the way from Parker, Arizona down to Tucson, Arizona, goes through the Superstition Vistas land development project. And so the opportunity exists. I gotta look for Gary Road. What is this road?
Oasis.
Okay, we don't want to miss Gary Road.
Left, right road.
I'm going to be turning right. Okay, sorry for the interruption. The Central Arizona Project water is solely dependent on the amount of flow from the Colorado River and how much the state of Arizona has rights to. And we are a minority or subordinate partner. The state of Arizona is a minority or subordinate partner to California for that Colorado River water. California gets a far greater allotment of Colorado River water. And so there's only so much that Arizona is legally allowed to take. That's one issue. About whether or not after the city of Phoenix is fully built out and the city of Tucson is fully built out, will there be enough water for Superstition Vistas and this entire Sun City megapolis, or Sun Cities corridor, Sunbelt corridor, I think is what they call it, megapolis? Probably not. There's other issues, especially those related to climate change, where the dendrochronological records, that means tree ring studies, show that the Colorado River is vulnerable to long-term drought, and the water flows pretty much have dried up to a trickle in the Colorado River in the geologic past, the not too distant geologic past, but in the past 100,000 years. And so if we're in a period of drier, hotter, more drought-prone conditions, then there may be some years when the Colorado River cannot deliver enough water to satisfy the demands and even just the legal demands of the legally allowable demands of the areas that are after all that water.
Is the amount of water that we have to allow the Colorado River deliver to California based off of a percentage, or is it a flow? It's a volumetric flow?
Well, it's based on population mostly. They've got a lot more people living there than we have there. In the state of Arizona, about 10 times more people.
Do they get a percentage of the river, or do they get a volume of the litter?
It's so many acre feet of water per
Okay, so
year.
it's volume.
Yeah, it's a volume.
So if it slows down, we would be the ones impacted most heavily.
Yes. Our flow would be hit harder than their flow would be. They would still, everybody is going to have to conserve and cut back. When the river starts running low, everybody has to cut back. But it's in proportion to their original allotment. So during a wet year, when they can claim and pump out every last drop that they're legally allowed to get, they're going to do it. California is doing it. Arizona is doing it. But when the drought year comes along and there's not enough water in the river to go around, then everybody gets cut back. So let's say if California gets 50% of the water and Arizona gets 25% of the water and Nevada gets 25% of the water, then and they are allowed, and we all have to cut back by 25%, then you get 25% of your original allotment during those drought years. So you might still get something out of it, but not as much as you want or would like to have. Now that means that the groundwater is going to have to be pumped.
There are no other sources of water other rivers or...
Did you see any when we were driving across there?
No,
No.
I mean, except Colorado River, is there any other river that they can take water from?
The Salt River and the Gila River do have some flows of water coming through them. The Salt River and the Verde River systems are the best for the greater Phoenix area. We have a series of reservoirs east of here, which are currently running at about 60 or I think they're 60 or 70% full. And the Gila River, south of here, there's a dam that provides water for drinking water purposes and agriculture called the Coolidge Dam, and it is practically dried up. the Gila River has been running really low for year after year after year. There's not much anything left in that reservoir. So that means when there's long extended droughts, right now our snowpack is 40% of normal in this area, in the watershed for these rivers. We are going to be forced to pump groundwater from the aquifers in order to satisfy the needs of all the people living here. And another thing that is an underlying principle for our Arizona groundwater management laws is the concept of safe yield. Is the same sustainability concept that we talked about in class earlier about trying to predict what is the safe yield for a fishery, for example, or the safe yield for a forest, other forms of natural resources. A safe yield for groundwater implies that you're not taking out any more than what's coming in on an annual basis. So you've got recharge that's keeping that aquifer at a stable level, at a safe yield level, and people have to restrain themselves from pumping any more out of that groundwater than would cause so that the groundwater table does not drop below the safe yield level. It's all based on groundwater hydrology studies and predictions. It's not an exact science. So we're going through Santan Valley. This is an already developed area, the southeast of the greater Phoenix metro area. Off to the right, looking to the east, is the Superstition Vistas area. This road that we're on is maybe a mile or two into the developed area, so there's really no road over there that actually goes right along the western border of. Oh look, $4 for a 12-pack of toilet paper. Woohoo! Have you ever seen a roadside stand like that?
I don't trust that toilet paper. It's recycled.
Like I've seen, like fresh oranges or fresh peaches and stuff like that, but not fresh toilet paper.
Handpicked.
At any rate, so this is all already developed, and could Superstition Vistas look like this someday? I think it's a good chance that you'll see land development that looks similar to this in much of the Superstition Vistas area. So there's a commercial shopping center coming up on the right. All this is really new development around this area. It's probably just been within the past 5 years that these shopping centers and subdivisions have been put in.